3 o'clock. The Single Family Design Board meeting for February 12th, 2024 is beginning. If we can do a roll call.
Yes, thank you. I will proceed with roll call. Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Graffitti,
Yes.
Board Member Sherry.
Yes.
We have a quorum.
Perfect. Any staff comments to begin with or no?
Chair Lewis, I believe we start with public comment, and then
Yes.
I'll save any
For announcements.
comments for D, for item
Okay,
D.
perfect. So do we have any general public comment? This is public comment not pertaining to one of the agenda items.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I will start with in-public person comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for general comment. However, if anyone wishes to make a general comment, you may fill out a slip and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so. At that, we will go to virtual attendance, and I do not see any hands raised for virtual comment as well. So we will close virtual comment, and we did not receive any correspondence for general public comment. So at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, perfect. So the next item is approval of the minutes for the full board meeting on January 29th. The one edit that we'd like to make is if we can just add a slash after Josh. He's not with AB Design Studio, so either separate the applicant and the architect as two separate lines, or just also add a slash. He's the representative for the owner. Okay. But I move to approve the minutes with that revision.
Second.
Can we do a roll call?
Yes, we will do roll call. Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson, Board Member Graffitti,
Yes.
Board Member Sherry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Okay, now we're on to approving the consent calendar minutes from today, which
He's bringing.
I was partially at and was there for two of the items, and Chair Collas was there for the rest of them. We discussed them. Sorry? Okay.
Yeah, just give me one moment. We were still working on the draft, so I didn't have them in the place where I usually do. Give me one moment. Thanks.
And most of the items today were final, and they matched the PDA drawings. So with Chair Kloss not here, I still feel comfortable reviewing them and us voting on them so that they can move forward. Oh, it's black.
Well, you're going to have to go with this dark style for now, guys. Sorry, I'm not sure how to adjust that right this minute. Makes it a little bit easier to read. As you know, Board Member Kloss is not here. She is absent. But from a staff perspective, we didn't find any issues. There was only one item that received public comment, but because final approval was granted, we didn't see any larger issues. But I'll go ahead and scroll through and let me know if you guys have any comments. Thank you.
Oh, the last one. Okay. Got it.
Are there any items you guys didn't see? I might have skipped through the first few a little too fast. Sure.
A and B.
A and B, okay.
Yeah, I think those were both the final approval. If you just go to the notes that, oh, that one was continued.
Oh, yeah. And so for item A, this case had a PRE case, and Board Member Colossus saw fit to continue the comments from the PRE case as the conceptual minutes for forwarding this on for further review. So you'll see these are the same exact comments that were received during the PRE hearing.
Okay.
With only the added note here that the board reinforces that color and landscape screening will be important to see at design approval stage. So just making that a little bit more clear.
Okay. I move to approve the consent calendar minutes from February 12th, 2024.
I'll second that.
Do a roll call.
Okay, we will take roll call. Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Graffitti,
Yes.
Board Member Sherry. Motion passes.
All right. Any announcements?
Yes, just one. This is for the project at 2136 Foothill Lane. This was a project heard at consent on,
Was that mine last week?
yes, on January 29th, yeah. And so this project was proposing a wall right next to a roadway, and it was very tall, and needed a minor zoning exception. The project was redesigned to not need that minor zoning exception anymore. They put the wall at 42 inches. So because it no longer requires an MZE or a minor zoning exception, the project was administratively approved. So it will not be seen at the board again. I did reach out to all the interested parties and sent them a follow-up email. There are a few zoning questions that I will respond to, but I just wanted to make that announcement
Were
here.
they still showing a taller gate or anything? Or that was
Correct. Yeah, so that taller gate with the driveway gate is outside of the setback. It wasn't in it. It was pushed back for the driveway, but otherwise, much of the design has remained the same.
Okay.
And I believe that is all the news I have to report. So for item E, we have no subcommittee reports to report. So I think we can move on to the first item. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, and then just for the board, a little note. We're going to try our best to try and stick close to the times that staff has allotted. So I'll try and keep an eye on where we're at for that and make any comments as needed to see if we want to be a little bit more succinct in comments. And it's okay if we just want to, if we agree with someone else or don't have any comments, are also fine. Okay, so our first item today is a new item here for concept review. This is 616 Sea Ranch Drive, demolition of the existing residence and garage. It's a proposal to construct a 4,920 square foot, two-story, single-unit residence with an attached 318 square foot porte-cochere and an attached 946 square foot two-car garage in the coastal zone non-appealable jurisdiction. A 489 square foot detached accessory dwelling unit with a 272 square foot roof deck is proposed. The project also includes a new driveway, pool patio, bocce court, jacuzzi, landscape, and hardscape improvements. The ADU requires approval of a coastal development permit from the staff hearing officer. As currently designed, the review and approval by the staff hearing officer is required for a modification to allow the garage to exceed the maximum allowable square footage. The proposed total of 6,355 square feet of development on a 48,351 square foot lot is 126% of the maximum guideline floor to lot area ratio. No final appealable action will take place at the meeting today, but we will need neighborhood preservation findings, hillside design district, and slope lot findings. And do we have staff comment?
Hi, yes, thanks Chair Lewis, Holly Garson, Assistant Planner. Just a clarification about the project description on the agenda and as seen on the screen. Correction that this project is not actually triggering the zoning modification as stated, so please disregard that. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so if the applicant can state your name, make sure your microphone is on, and you'll have 15 minutes to walk us through the drawings.
Okay, I'm Bill Wolf with Pacific Architects and Stacy Fawcett, landscape architect. First, a quick clarification. The original house I measured, actually, originally we'd gotten the square footage from the existing home that's being torn down from the assessor's office, but I measured the survey, and the perimeter actually gave us 4,020. So the existing house is actually 4,000 square feet. That does include the garage. Also, I just want to note on the square footages, because that's probably going to be a key element in this discussion today, is that a good part of the garage, which we call storage, 245 square feet of it, is really subterranean. It's buried into the hill, as well as the lower floor storage, which is 275 square feet. That is pretty much 3 sides buried into the ground. So you're really not seeing that or feeling that part of the square footage. Also, as we go through, so we've done a floor area ratio calculation of the neighborhood. I don't know if you've had any chance to see any of this, but there is certainly projects and homes in that neighborhood, as you know, which are well above the 100% FAR. And you can see 181, 134, 133, and we're at 126. Again, I'm including everything as well as the ADU. So, and I know you won't be looking at that. Okay, to go on, what we're doing is we're going to come in and we're going, right now it's a flag, kind of a flag lot. Comes off of Sea Ranch, which is here, and a long driveway, and we've worked with fire department on developing that. Existing long driveway comes back to the home that sits in here, currently exists right there today. I've got a drawing and a document that shows where that is better than what this is showing. It's in red. But generally, the footprint of the existing house sits right about where that one is, and it's oriented just about the same direction as that is. Their garage sits over here, ours sits over here, and our ADU sits in this area here. So again, it's a sloping lot, very high on this side, sloping down to kind of a flat pad, and then continues on sloping down to the rest of the area. So this is kind of the neighborhood. You can see homes kind of scattered around us. These houses are way, way up there, way up above, much higher than ours. These two are splitting down the middle with an easement that shares access to this property, but not to this one. They have their own access here, but we are an easement across both of those properties to get back to ours. I know we have some neighbors here today as well. This neighbor here was mentioning to me that his footprint's actually different than what's shown on there. I think it's a bit larger than what we're showing there. Again, single story home. We kept it low. It's actually currently the height of this is about 2.5 feet shorter than the building that we're doing now. So the existing house has a pitched roof, and we're doing flat roofs. And again, it's about 2.5 feet shorter than what was there before. Again, single story, single family home. Enter in through here. We've got a basement space under here that's really only for mechanical that sits under this bedroom here. Again, on the high side of the property. And then the only 2-story element is this ADU piece that's stacked over the top. And you can kind of see it in the section here. Again, we're kind of nestling it into the hillside, burying a good part of that garage storage underneath. Here's the little storage area underneath. So really, technically, and I don't know if I'd say it's a 2-story home, but we do have some pieces stacked over each other, those elements that are buried. Here's the garage element, again, tucked into the hill. This is completely subterranean. It's 7 or 8 feet, might even be 9 feet retaining there. And then here's the underfloor area. Again, this is all just underfloor, raised foundation, and then excavated area here for mechanical. The rest of it's open. I'll let Stacy get into our pool and site layout, but we've got a pool, infinity edge pool that we've got there too. Again, ADU, I guess you guys don't look at that, right?
Just for some clarification to the applicant and the board, the ADU is currently under the SFDE purview because it's proposing the glass railing and then specifically the ADU deck. So we can
Okay.
see, once you get your zoning plan check corrections, you'll see that.
Okay, all right, well, there's the ADU, and again, we're retaining against this side of the hill, so we're actually tucked into the hill there, about 6 feet. And here's our lone glass rail right there. So if you have any issue with that, let us know. Solar panels, we've got water for heating the pool, and we've got photovoltaic on the roof for everything else. Again, single story, we're gonna have a combination of plaster, stone, we're working on picking that material, very earth tones. The windows and doors will be probably aluminum, either Fleetwood or Western or a version like that. Might be a narrow profile, fairly narrow profile. Here's the infinity edge pool. So this view actually includes the site that you're seeing. So really there's the second story piece that you can see there. And the garage, or the ADU sits over the garage on this side. Here's a pretty good shot of how that all lays out. There's the ADU, glass railing, garage. This is an open carport, which is actually added into the square footage too. It's open, kind of a breezeway connection. Stone, again, kind of a constructivist sort of pieces of stone and plaster. Oh, we do have some glass rail over here, I apologize, on this side too. There's the infinity edge pool. Here is a cross section through the breezeway showing the upper floor of the ADU. And that's our civil. Our grades, in terms of setting the finished floor, we're actually about a half a foot lower than the existing house. So we're pretty much in the similar location. We're working on our stormwater drainage and our septic. We're on septic there too. So I don't know if you've had a chance to see any of the photos. I'm happy to walk through these real quick. Yeah, okay. I won't get into too much of the weeds here, but there's a long driveway that leads out. I'm going to go to some story pole plan that I have here sent. Second tab at the top. Where is that?
Keep going up. There you go.
Up here? Okay. Oh, there we go. Great. Okay, so we actually story polled this structure so that everybody could see it. The HOA wanted us to do that, so we did it. They have given us their green light. This is actually the edges of that are the roof line, not the walls. So that's actually the outside edge of the walls. And this is actually story polled about 2 feet higher than what we're going to build it at, because I didn't have the civil drawings, and they came back and said, yeah, well, it doesn't need to be that tall. So I said, okay, great, we'll knock it down. So it's being that story pole represents a taller element. I took some shots also from down the street. This is across the neighbors here, the other neighbor here. Dan Claus's home is here, Suzanne's is over here. We're up in the middle. You can see just a little bit of the top of that second story roof line. And again, this building is about 2.5 feet taller than what we're gonna be. So you can see and Stacy will get into the landscaping. This is a shot from about the middle of that long driveway, looking back at the roof. Again, that's the only thing you could see. You're not going to see any of this. Well, landscaping, we'll see the front face of the building, of course. This drawing also shows kind of layout. That red shadow in there, that's the existing building. You can kind of see how we're, again, this portion too, just to give you a, oops, let's get over here, sorry. This is all just covered lanai too. This isn't actually building. So you can see the areas that we're increasing square footage is here and a little bit here, and then of course the garage over there. So it's really not as much as it might appear. And I think I should leave the rest for Stacy to do. Do you want me, you
I think I
take
gotta
over?
switch there, 'cause
Okay,
that's
yeah.
where the mouse is. All right. So we worked with Bill and the clients and siting the building and making sure that it kind of nestled into the hillside, which I think worked out really nicely, using the slope advantage to help try and reduce any grading and keep walls as low as possible for functional and cost purposes. And then this is the outdoor terrace on the south side with a pool off of that. And then there's an infinity spill in this area. Currently, there's a sloping and landscape area down here. So we've added a bocce court in this vicinity, terrace pathways that come down through the property, permeable paving, both in the driveway and also around throughout the site to help with stormwater management. There's existing screening in place, which is quite tall. There's a xylosma hedge here. This is Suzanne's property over here, who I know and work with. I think I know 4 of the 5 adjacent neighbors, and I've worked with them. So there's also existing trees. There's a large pine in this area, a large ash, and California pepper here. So keeping the major trees, adding an additional tree in this area to help with screening between the properties. But really, the property, or the lot isn't very visible from any other locations. And like Bill said, with the reduced height, it's really going to tuck into the hillside nicely. So landscaping with drought tolerant and native plant material for water use. There's no large lawn areas, anything like that. We have a meadow area, which would be a no-mow grass, some vegetable beds in this area. But most of the perimeters, adding some additional screening material where needed for privacy, because all the neighbors, want their privacy. So that's kind of the goal there. There is a pathway we tucked into the hillside up here. There's a really pretty view, but currently there's kind of just a footpath without any steps. This is kind of an example of some imagery of what we're thinking for materials, plant material, keeping with the warm tones of Santa Barbara sandstone, these types of set-in-place concrete steps for the hillsides, using pebbles, drought-tolerant plant material, gravels, stepping stones, and dry stack stone retaining walls as garden walls to minimize any engineered walls.
You have about a minute left, just so you know.
Okay. Oh, these are your models.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
want to do those?
Sure, yeah. Okay. Just to give you kind of the 3D, real rough and loose. Where are we here? There we go, okay. Anyway, just to give you the idea of the massing of that and the
That
slopes.
doesn't have any trees on it.
No trees. This is denuded of any planting, of course, and it will not be like that. Again, kind of earth tones, that kind of thing. Again, tucked into the hill up here. Infinity edge pool. There's kind of the side, again, sloped. Really, again, two-story
There's a
home.
lot of large trees at the back, that back slope too.
This is all very well screened. Yeah, that's
Right.
very well screened. That whole side as well on the other end is also screened. This is the front. This, you can see 6 feet of retaining on that upper floor of the ADU. There it is there, tucked into the hill too. Again, all planted along that western edge as well. And there's just kind of your sample material colors and finishes kind of happening.
Kind of a work in progress materials, exterior materials board.
And there's the existing house. Again, we're about 2.5 feet below that. I think I scaled it at about 17 and 3/4, almost actually 18 feet, and we're at 15.3. So we're quite a bit less. These are the existing trees that are happening on the site. And the pine too, that stays as well, right? Yeah. Yeah. And here is move it over. Yeah.
That's
That's kind of the aerial there. Where are we? There we go.
Gray house.
Yeah, there it is. So you can see pretty thick vegetation here. And we're not protruding anything beyond that line, so the idea is to keep that lush and thick and keep the privacy between the neighbor here. These folks are much higher, they don't see over. And this is also quite lush and thick. And I believe those folks have been talked to, and then the neighbor down here as well. So,
Perfect, thank
okay.
you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move to public comment now.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I will start with in-person public comment. I do at this time have speaker slips for those who wish to speak. I will be calling up first Mr. William Tate. You will have 2 minutes to speak at the podium. Please step up to the podium. Make sure you push the light so that we can hear you.
And if you can also state what address you're with in relation to the property.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Bill Tate. I'm a real estate partner with the law firm of K&L Gates.
Oh, excuse me, pardon the interruption. Would you mind turning on your microphone? It is on? Oh, I didn't quite hear it.
I represent Suzanne Von Bailey with respect to the property located at 606 Sea Ranch Drive. You should have a letter from me that I sent last Friday on February 9th. In short, we have two major concerns. One concern is with respect to privacy, and the second concern is with respect to the changes to the overall character of the neighborhood. First, with respect to privacy, the new house development or project, it is a two-story development. There's no getting around. It's 2 stories. And although, we're now talking about a flat roof as compared to a pitch roof, no one sits on the top of a pitched roof. On a second, if it's 15 and a half feet, someone's going to be standing up there either on the deck to the ADU or with respect to the new deck, that overlooks my client's property. So we're concerned about the sight lines that otherwise, come into her property, and that could enter into upon viewing of the pool area or viewing, quite frankly, otherwise into the house. Also, you'll note that most of the other improvements also push out toward the edge of the property. So those are view lines that, never really were perhaps an issue before, but are an issue now. My client has not had the opportunity to actually see the story poles and would have loved to be, in on the discussion earlier on with respect to this development. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case, so we're playing a catch up right now. Our second issue, though, is with respect to the size of the overall development with respect to the character of the neighborhood. We note that with respect to the AR examples that are put forth, those examples, none of them are adjacent to the property. And quite frankly, they're up the hill from the property. I think if you look at the properties that are immediately located around the subject property, you'll find that the house sizes are significantly smaller, really in the range of about between 3,400 which is my client's house, to somewhere around 4,000 square feet.
So, Mr. Tate, I apologize for interrupting, but unfortunately, we reached our 2-minute mark. I will hand it off to Chair Lewis if she would wish to grant more time to the speaker, but it is up to your
No, I think
discretion.
given the number of public comments in your letter, I think we'll stick to the 2 minutes. So thank you.
May I just say just one final thing? There are several other neighbors that are here that have the same concerns.
And we'll be hearing from them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next for in-person public comment would be Mr. Brian Wolf. If you could please come up to the podium. You too will also have 2 minutes, and make sure you point the mic directly at your mouth so we can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Mine are more questions, actually. Septic. Are you guys doing an advanced wastewater treatment system?
Yes.
Okay. So that's easy question. And the other one is, I'm a professional geologist. I live 2 doors down, and I see you're doing this Tier 3 stormwater capture. Where's all the water going?
We have, may I answer that question?
Yeah.
If it stays within the 2 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, we have stormwater catches that we're going to do, and we're going to do some under the driveway cistern type ideas. Well, they're not cisterns, they actually allow water to percolate.
Okay.
Holding areas, right, yeah.
So the holding areas, that's what I have. I mean, in the rains like we've had in the last couple of years, they, fill up really, really quick, especially when you have impermeable driveways and permeable driveways. So like physically, could you point out on a map like where it dumps?
I can, I'd be happy to share you our civil plan
Okay.
as well
Yeah.
at some point
I
in
saw
time.
Mark Braun's one page that was in there, but yeah.
Yeah, he's doing
Yep.
the septic and the stormwater management plan for us.
Okay.
So I'd be happy to show those to you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. And the only other comment I have, very tastefully done design, by the way. Love the design, it's beautiful. However, the FAR calculation, the FAR comparisons, most of those up on Campanile Hill are either at the end of cul-de-sacs or have 2 streets around them, like the one on the corner of Sentinel and Campanile. The house is a bit excessive in size considering it's on a flag lot, right? So it's on a flag lot. It doesn't affect me at all, but I know for my other neighbors, it's going to be a lot of square footage right there on top of them. And, but I'm a pro property rights guy, so all to it. But it's something to, the owner, I think, should take into consideration. How much square footage, how close to other neighbors. Yep. That's it.
All right, thank
Oh,
you.
and before you leave the podium there, would you just mind stating your name and the address for the records?
Yeah, my name is Brian Wolf, and I live at 516 Sea Ranch, 2 doors down.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Our next in-person public speaker will be Dan Kloss. You could please come up to the podium.
Can I just hand these to you
Yeah,
guys
we
to share?
can-
I made 5 copies. This is just showing the correct footprint of my home, which is directly south of this project.
Perfect. I'm going to lay it so that the camera can pick it up. And then I'll
City
pass the other
TV, can
ones.
you please zoom in on the portrait that is by Chair Lewis?
Yeah, let's just,
We've got the
yeah.
timer up right now, so we'll
Oh,
maybe
it
leave
won't.
it on
Okay.
afterwards.
So,
We'll do it afterwards.
so board members and to members of the public, what we'll do is we will show the image on the screen for about, I don't know, half a minute, maybe 20 seconds, just to get an idea of what we're looking at. And then we'll switch back over to the timer so that we can make public comment and we're
Can I-
all in the same.
May I just
boat.
request that you rotate that
Yeah,
counterclockwise?
It's just so they can see it. Right now, we'll rotate when we're looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just leave it up there for a few seconds.
North.
Well, again, my name's Dan Claus, and I live at 526 Sea Ranch Drive,
We can switch to the timer.
due south
Get,
of
okay. Oh, hold on. Give me one moment here. And then would you mind switching? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you can begin.
Yes,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Okay, so you got who I am. I'm also a licensed contractor since 1986. I've done work with Stacy. Kudos to Bill. I haven't worked with him, but nice design, and I'm sure the landscape will be beautiful. My main concern, Brian just addressed, and that's drainage, because I've had to deal with the same thing on my own property especially when we did an addition and remodel 12 or 13 years ago. We have really heavy soil, and the storm chambers are shown in the southwest corner of that, of this project. So I've reviewed the civil plan and everything that was submitted. But the overflow on that property is, once those storm chambers get saturated, as the ground is right now, all that overflow is coming directly onto my property. So that's a concern, and I have just one suggestion, and that's to consider perhaps dry wells in lieu of the storm chambers. I have a septic system as well on my property, and I know that with a 30-foot septic system, we punch through the clay layer, and we are into permeable gravel and cobbles, which will work to recharge the groundwater basin. So that's probably a topic for Mark Braun to review. My second point is a privacy concern, primarily associated with the extension of the pool and pool terrace, which is currently shown to be a couple inches lower than finished floor of the house. That puts it 24 feet above the finished floor level of my house. And I currently can sit in my kitchen and family room and breakfast nook and watch Paul and Tricia have cocktails on their deck. And right now, that new pool terrace is going to be approximately 20 feet further south, closer to me. So I'm just wondering if you'd consider lowering the pool terrace by down, maybe perhaps down to the spa level. That would be maybe another 18 or 20 inches lower than it currently sits.
Thank you, you're out of time.
Okay, may I just mention one other concern? And that just has to do with the location of the pool equipment. I want to make sure that we see noise levels on the pool equipment, or completely enclose it, or perhaps move it west or east of the bocce court.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, we will move on to virtual comment.
I just have one other question. The pool equipment was shown partially in the setback. Is that permitted? Are you allowed to have your pool equipment in?
I think it's out
Outside
of
the setback.
the city setback. There's an HOA setback, which
Yeah.
is different. So,
Right.
So it's
yes.
okay in the HOAs?
Yes.
They've approved it where it was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll continue with virtual comment at this time. I do not see any hands raised for virtual comment. We will move on to written correspondence that was received for this item, and we did receive correspondence from Suzanne Von Drill. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, perfect. So we'll start first with questions, and then we'll move on to comments. And I think we'll start both rounds over here.
What's the screening going to be between the proposed development and the southerly neighbor?
So we have a Laurus nobilis hedge, that planting, not necessarily a hedge as square.
Maybe a site section, like, I don't know, Bill, if you have a site section through
Yeah, you had a good
north-south that might show that?
Oh, yeah.
Might show the relationship also between the pool terrace
Zoom out.
and the finished floor with the
Oh, there it
southerly
is.
neighbor.
Taking a while here.
We also have, there is an area that Dan was talking about where between the deck and his breakfast room or
Sorry.
kitchen area, where we've specifically placed a tree to block that viewpoint as well.
Page 7. Oh, there you are.
There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, does that section
This
have
guy
the,
here.
the property line?
It's not. This property line is way up here, and that one is probably
Down a little
about
further.
where that is, probably right
Okay.
about there. I can add those in.
And then is it safe to say that southerly property line on your property keeps going south toward the last neighbor that spoke?
Yes.
So it just keeps going down and down. Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Points
It does
down at
level
the
off a little bit, I think, at their
farthest end
property,
there.
but it does continue downward.
Okay, is the roof deck only at the ADU in the back portion?
Yeah.
That's the only roof
That's
deck?
the only roof deck, no other roof deck.
Is the second story of the residence that the first speaker was talking about only defined as such because of the storage area on that lower southwest corner of the, right there?
Yes, yeah, it's this storage area here, that's the only second story, including this ADU over the garage, again,
Right.
tucked into the hills.
And the reason that you have to technically call it a second story is because the level of exposed basement doesn't technically, like,
Well, and I could probably look into that, because I think we're 3 sides covered, although do we need to be 4 to be considered a full basement?
That's something we can explore.
okay.
Yeah,
I just wondered if that was the only area,
That's the only
why the
area.
speaker was
Yeah.
talking about the second story. And then, was it 122 or 126% FAR? Because you have conflicting,
122.
one of the documents
that's-
said 126 and one said 122.
Oh, does it? Oh,
Right, the
well, we'll
project
say it's the
description
higher one, but
said.
I can clarify that.
And is it, without the ADU, what would the FAR be?
Without the ADU, oh, I can't do math that quick.
I'll give you a little bit of time to come back, because I think I'm probably not the only one that's going to
What's your
have that question.
ADU square footage?
Yeah.
The ADU square footage is, well, let's go to the front page, here we go.
And your main house was?
Okay. So, including upper and lower floor and ADU, it's 54. So if you subtract 489 out of 5409,
So like,
what's that?
Do you
We
want to
can,
do
we can
that?
go on to
900.
other,
Plus the garage, we got to add
just in an
that.
effort to keep
Yeah.
moving, keep this meeting moving, we can
What happened?
maybe come back to that. But I also wanted to know if it also included the carport that was basically kind of just, it does include that carport.
Yeah, the total 6350 includes the breezeway, which is a carport.
The breezeway, yeah,
Yeah.
that carport.
And the garage,
Yeah,
and the
which-
storage, all of it.
All of
really.
that,
It's all of that, which is
Yeah.
maybe not really the right way to look at it.
Pardon my interruption here. We're having some technical difficulties with the screens. I believe either one, we are having faulty connections with the laptop, or two, somebody kicked some of the cords underneath the little curtain there. So I'm going to pause for a minute here and try to figure this one out.
So I have one more question, since you guys are determining who kicked the cord. The last question was the neighbor that didn't get to see the story poles given, contacted when the story poles were put up, and is that, and then it just didn't work out in their schedules, or what is it about that,
That's it.
that,
She said she didn't get notice of this. Oh, there it is.
I'll let,
You
There
got
it is,
it.
it's got.
there we go.
Do you know where the?
Did you contact, was the neighbor next door contacted
Suzanne.
about the story poles?
Suzanne, why wasn't Suzanne not notified of the story poles?
I
Or
was relying a little bit on the owners, maybe, because I thought she was in contact, but we had, certainly the association was the group that asked us to do them. So we thought maybe they had some vehicle for contacting
We
everybody.
can certainly
but-
share pictures, too.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're happy
Okay.
to show everybody whatever they want, and work with the folks with the civil as well. I want to make sure we resolve that.
So just to clarify, the 126% includes the breezeway, which is a carport. It includes the two-car garage. It includes the ADU, the second level of the ADU, and the storage that's virtually
Underground.
Both
underground, which is
storages
about
are
how big?
underground. It's probably, well, plus, as a storage, we're 275, and so we're like 4, almost 500 square feet of storage.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
No more questions.
All right, any questions?
Just one, which is, can you quickly cover on the main residence where you have the glass railing?
Sure.
On a plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the plan.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna keep my feet to myself, too.
No kicking.
Kick anything out. Okay, so, well, it'll be two plans. This is the storage that we need underneath. And then the other is up in the ADU on that deck right here, this bit right here. And
Okay.
we're open to suggestions. If the glass isn't appropriate, we can change.
No, I just wanted, I was more curious on the south side. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes, I'm feeling the rush to keep it at the same pace. But, so back on the FAR, because that's one of our biggest challenge is to find neighborhood compatibility. And honestly, the 126 is probably the highest that I've seen. So I think that we will, in the further submittals, need more clarification on those square footages. And typically, we look at the 10 closest homes or the 20 closest homes for neighborhood compatibility. So I would like to see, yes, surrounding your property versus in the area. I mean, to me, that creates the neighborhood compatibility. Because what you're saying is actually, it's not double the square footage. So getting clarity on what the square footage is, I mean, I think Dawn covered it. So I'm getting closer to being more comfortable with that. But I'm still questioning. And as an applicant, when you ask for more, you're to provide justification for our lives to be easier to say, yay, it's compatible.
Sure.
So I guess I don't have any questions on that further than Dawn's. And it seems like you made steps to minimize grading, going 6 inches lower than finish floor. Is that because, hillside and less grading and on the existing house? So is there any further comments that you can make?
No, I mean, we wanted to maintain kind of the elevation that it was at and to work with the slopes.
Right.
Originally, I had kept it at the same elevation, and then the civil engineer said, well, it'd be better if we could drop it. So we
Okay.
could get things to slope away, and so by the time he calculated all his slopes, that's why it ended up being lower
Right.
than what it was by a half a foot, which is fine. We're still maintaining views and not interfering, certainly with anybody's view blockage from above. And so,
Right. And thank you for clarifying that, yeah, you're 30 inches lower than the existing house, because having those existing, residents, like, guidelines helps us decide, well, yeah, in the hillside, that works.
yeah.
And it's also very helpful to have the finished grade to plate heights, and the max heights on your sections as well.
Yes.
I believe
I
your
realized.
22 and 23 feet is your max height there. So height-wise, not a concern, fits in. I think the other bigger issue is neighborhood compatibility. So if you want to talk to us about your conversations with the neighbors and what you've done to appease 606 and the downslope to this point, would help us. Also, I'd like to see just in plan view the decks and the windows on the east and west side that are facing those neighborhood properties. Probably east, south, and west. Just show us the elevations of those windows and how you've created privacy, noise for neighborhood compatibility for us.
Do you want me to do that now?
Sure.
Oh, okay, all right, sorry. So, a lot of this will be certainly handled in terms of privacy, is the existing screening is landscaping. So I'll let Stacy talk to that quite a bit, but I'm happy to walk you
Okay.
through the elevations as well. Yes, yeah.
Thanks.
I can get to them. Wherever they are here. Okay. Okay. That is not a concern. The top elevation there, that's our north elevation. There's really nobody seeing that. This is the south elevation here. We're certainly conscious of overhangs on roofs, so this is a very long overhang casting shadows and not creating reflection on this whole side right here. And most of the south facing, we have eyebrows to help cut down on the sun angles too. So that's some of the options that we've done there. We do have tall 8 and 10 foot windows and doors, which is fairly typical of this type of architecture. This is the east side. Again, I don't think anybody seems to have any concern with that.
Well, that's the one on 606, correct?
Hand to the left a
That's the
little.
west side.
Oh, that's the west, yeah, okay, so
Yeah,
that,
I think west and south seem to be the most concerning of everybody. This is the east side. There's a porte cochere, glass, again, overhangs on all conditions. This is the west side. Here, we have fewer windows on this side, and we've kind of positioned them lower or further away. These are high windows. Again, you're not really going to see with landscaping. It's the landscape hedge. I think the existing hedge is probably
There's an
about
existing,
to the top of that window
yeah,
line
there's an
right
existing oak tree where you have that 22-foot elevation.
here? Oh,
Yeah,
there's
so there's
existing oak
existing
right in
oak
here?
tree along the
Okay.
property line, and then
All
the
right.
xylosma hedge, which
Runs
gets,
along.
16 to 20 feet tall, runs along that
It
property.
probably
line.
ends right in here, and we're happy to add that to the next elevation
Yeah.
if you want to see that,
Right.
so you can see exactly what we're getting at. This is the facing south again, but you're having to look over the roof of the single-story house in front of it to get that, and again, long overhangs wherever we can get them to help reduce the glare. We'll certainly be considerate of lighting for the site on the buildings, night sky compliant. Did I address all of it?
yeah, I think most of the concern, because the south is set back and the west is so far away, was the east neighbor and the conversation around her pool and her yard on that side of the house.
West neighbor.
Yeah, west.
Is that west?
This
is
North isn't up?
North is up.
North is up, west is,
South, east,
east is
west.
here,
Yeah.
and west is there.
There, you can see the oak tree
Okay,
right on
sorry.
that. See the oak tree right there?
Yeah, yeah, okay. But there is hedges and trees that are
Yeah.
whatever, 8 more.
Oh, there you go. You want to
Feet.
look at the
Is that it there?
Yeah, so you can see the existing oak trees there with the dashed circle, and then that hatched area is an existing hedge that goes all the way down. The solid planting down lower, Bill,
Oh, this
that's
right
new screening along that property line. And then you see the tree in the center of that south property line, right there, yep. That's an additional tree added for that corridor that looks down to Dan Claus's property to kind of block that view. We
There's
didn't have time to
existing pine.
color this. We had short turnaround on
Yeah.
a few things, so
Do you
next
have
time
more
maybe it'll be
questions,
colored.
Board Member Anderson? Or no?
I do. Yeah, the true stone and the glass rail, what other, did you consider another product besides the glass? And the true stone, is that a natural stone, or you don't know yet, or?
It's a natural, it'll be a natural stone,
Yeah.
yeah, veneer, some sort, yeah. And the glass, options open. We could do cable rail, could be rod stainless, could be just about anything. They favored the glass, so we thought we'd start with that.
Okay. All right, that's it.
For my questions, if you could walk us to both of the equipment yards that you have, and what's provided screenage-wise.
Let's zoom into there. Stacy, I'll let you kind of walk through that.
Okay.
You're talking about the,
Yeah, so
where
there's
the pool
this,
equipment
well,
is?
both, you've got the equipment on the side yard and then one in the back as well. So if you can just talk through what's in kind of
So the
both
pool
of them.
equipment is enclosed on all sides with a masonry wall. To be sunk into the hillside also. So sound mitigation shouldn't be an issue. We're out of the city setback. The HOA setback is slightly different. We're only into that one on the south side. What was the other equipment area? Is, Bill, that's
Up on the
yours?
side, on the west
Are you
side.
talking
Right
about
there.
Right,
this
there's-
right in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's just a
Oh.
little bit that's outside
Yeah.
uncovered. Okay.
So this is an area, we had talked about doing just the condenser units out here. Again, we'll be cognizant of their sound levels and make sure they meet all the minimum dB ratings to neighbors' property. The majority of the equipment's going to be underneath the house, though, so.
But that
These
also
are-
has a masonry wall around it.
Right.
Yeah,
And
this has
sunk
masonry,
into the
And it's
ground.
sunk into the hillside, so you
Yeah.
won't see it, and
Right.
certainly the deadening of earth and,
Okay.
Yeah.
8-inch thick at least masonry will help do that, too,
Yep.
so.
Okay. All right, I think we're good to move to comments. We'll start back over here.
I think this project is a really good example of an applicant being very sensitive to the site, and with the proposal for a one-story, essentially a one-story house on a steep slope with manageable plate heights and nice materiality. And I think it's also a good example of how you can exceed the FAR, how easy it is to exceed the FAR when you add an ADU and a covered breezeway and a two-car garage and a 300 and some odd square foot storage room that you can't see from anywhere. But it would be, just for peace of mind, it would be good to have that analysis so that we're more comfortable with it. But I'm surprised that it came out to be 126, honestly. I think good neighbor policy for privacy should be achieved by landscaping, not necessarily by creating high windows on houses. So I think this is also a really good example of efforts that are being made to provide screening that I think that the applicant wants just as much as the neighbors do. I think that I don't have any issues with the architectural style at all. I don't have an issue with glass railings because for the entire area in front of the pool, there isn't even a railing, and windows are made out of glass, and we don't keep people from having windows in their houses, so I don't have an issue with the glass railings. I'm sympathetic to the drainage challenges that you're up against, having gone through Tier 3 and managing all the water that's coming from above you and having to go down and capture all of it before it goes to somebody else. So good luck with that one. Those are my comments.
I'd like to take a quick, just kind of question while we're going through here in regards to the FAR. I'm curious, the board's thoughts on having them provide their FAR calculations with and without including their carport and their ADU and that basement storage area. So
In the carport area, yeah.
right, if those three, if they can show both of those and what those totals are for us in addition to 10 houses around. How does the board feel about that?
Yeah, do we want to do 10 closest homes? Does that make sense for this neighborhood? I think that's probably the most straightforward. I don't know if we want to look at a map. Yeah, that's fine then.
Yeah, I think the 10 closest, if you want to include any outlet, we'll look at them, but I think that probably is the simplest.
Touching 10,
Right.
essentially.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I have nothing new to add. I completely agree with Board Member Sherry.
Perfect, okay.
On to me, and you were touching on the FAR. Yeah, I would like to see the clarity on the square footage calculations to justify the 126 or less, and the ADU, yeah, really helps us substantiate that. And the 10 closest homes, yes. What else? So I think that we, as a condition potentially for FAR, that's where I would stand on the FAR piece for compatibility is that additional information. The quality architectural, natural appearance in the hillside, I'm all good with that. the screening, yes, I'm going down our NPOs here because that helps me organize. I still, I'm not totally convinced that all the good neighbor guidelines have been met. I think that it may all be there and we're kind of rushing through. I think that there's still items to address with that West 606 neighbor and her privacy concerns. And if you can provide, here's a length of bushes, it covers her pool, she has, X home. We typically like to see the adjacent site footprints and maybe the uses of those rooms so that we can say, oh, okay, well, that's a garage right there where that window is looking on that deck out that bedroom too, to help us substantiate the good neighbor. So I would need or like to see a little more information on the good neighbor checklist items. Yeah, all the trees and the landscaping is great. To me, that's temporary landscaping, but I love what you're proposing and all the screening. I think we just need maybe a little more clarity to meet the good neighbor guidelines on that. And typically on the rail, it's discouraged because of the reflection. I think, windows are typically set back or have a roof overhang. So my knowledge is typically on the hillside, we discourage the glass guardrail. So I'm kind of mixed on that one. Those are my comments.
Okay, thanks. I agree with what the board's been saying, and I think on the glass railing, I think given the slope here and the views to the site, since there's so much screening, I'd be okay with the glass. I don't think it's going to be causing glares that it can in other places. I think based on the feedback from the board, adding your landscape and height of hedges in your site section, especially down to the south neighbor, and being able to indicate where the neighbor's house starts, I think would be very helpful for us. And same in the either site section or showing on the elevation, the height of those hedges to the westerly neighbor as well. I know we didn't get into in your presentation the site photos around the neighborhood, but I think as far as compatibility, I think so much of the neighborhood is screened, and you guys are as well from the street. So I feel like there's nothing, especially height-wise, that's sticking out like a sore thumb. So I think that it really works well in the neighborhood, and I do think part of looking at the materials and everything, because of the slope down, we're going to see so much of that roof. It'll be nice for us to look at what you're planning for that as well. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I want to thank you for going ahead and doing those story polls. I think that was helpful for us looking at the ADU. I don't think any additional ones would be needed. Yeah, right. And yeah, you already went ahead and showed us these perspectives, so I think that's good. I think if there's nothing else, I'd be ready to start a motion. I move to continue this project. Making sure you didn't need to go. I move to continue this project indefinitely with the following comments. That the board generally agrees that the project is sited well and has appropriate heights and works well with the topography. The board would like to see an FAR study including the proposed project total square footage as well as their FAR without the carport, the basement storage, the ADU, and the portico share. Included in the FAR study, the 10 closest homes. The board would also like to see a site section that shows the privacy landscaping between the southerly neighbor and the residence, as well as a site section or elevation that shows landscape privacy heights between the westerly neighbor. The board has mixed thoughts on glass railing. The majority seem okay with it.
I'll second the motion.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Oh, sorry, can we take a vote?
Yeah, take a vote, please.
Yeah.
Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Sherry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you, guys. Okay. Do we need a 5-minute break, or are we good? Okay, so we're gonna move on to item number 2, right at 4:05, look at us. This is a new item here for concept review. 112 Vista Del Mar. This is a proposal to construct a new 2,466 square foot, 2-story, single-unit residence and an attached 421 square foot garage. The project includes a new driveway, new landscape, and hardscape improvements. The proposed total of 2,887 square feet of development on an 8,800 square foot lot is 85% of the maximum required floor-to-lot area ratio. No final appealable action will take place. Neighborhood preservation findings and hillside design district findings will be required at PDA. Hello, welcome. If you can state your name, make sure your microphone is on.
That's
and
good,
who
yeah.
you are here to represent.
My name is Tom Jacobs, architect here in town, AIA. Been here for a long time.
And I'm Cass Ensberg, Ensberg Jacobs Design, and also the owners, property owners are here, Dan and Katie Crossman and their daughter, who just turned 2 today. So glad to be here. Thank you.
So you have 15 minutes to walk us through your presentation.
Okay.
Okay, and show me how, I never do this, so how does this work?
Yeah, so you've got a mouse on this side, which may help. And then if you, the plus and minus will let you zoom out at the top, or you can just slide on the right side.
Oh, just with the bar?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Want to just overview our site location on a macro scale. We're just, if you are down at Hendry's and you look up into the hills, we're at the last development before completely wild land. So it's a oval-shaped development from the 50s, and off of Allen Road, of course. The homes are all very, very modest. The few of them have been added onto. We made kind of a quick run around and took pictures, but they're in the minority. But people are realizing that it's a changing community, neighborhood. And so it's not something that turns heads particularly. It's just people understand that the community is growing and changing. But the materials are mostly board and bat, a lot of shingle, all with the roofing is asphalt shingles. So very, basic neighborhood. Go ahead.
I was going to add too that there are a couple that have metal roofs. There's a few standing seam metal roofs throughout there, but most of them are asphalt shingle, and then, as Tom said, board and bat or horizontal siding with maybe stucco is sort of typical. There aren't any Spanish style anywhere around there. Here, this shows a little bit better some of these houses. I'm sure you may be familiar with this neighborhood. having seen other projects come through, but, and then this is the subject property right here. So, and also just to add, this is coming up, and, this is to the east, so this is going down the hill, and then this is going up the hill. So we took a number of, we took pictures of all the two-story that are just kind of sprinkled around. Okay.
Obviously, it's in the coastal zone and the coastal high fire zone, but we don't have any issues with being in coastal, so we got a pass on that. But it is high fire, and that's kind of a surprise when you get your site information. It's like high fire, coastal high fire. Well, it's our first experience with that, but you can see why there's a chaparral zone, and that makes total sense. If we start out with the existing house, the size of that is 1625 square feet. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, and it's also got a 400 square foot attached garage. The lot, just like every other lot on the cul-de-sac or on the development, is an L-shaped lot.
Not the lot.
Excuse me, the development is L-shaped on the lot. There's usually a right turn into the garage, which is downhill. So the developer was sensitive to the topology, but he didn't have anything other than one particular step, which was take a left. So
Excuse me. How do I enlarge it? I don't see the plus sign. Oh, right there. There it is. I see it. Okay. Right here.
Centered, yeah, at the very top, right above your existing, down a little bit.
Oh, right there. Oh, okay. Okay, because I just wanted to zoom in a little bit on that.
I think there's a pan somewhere.
Yeah. Here you can see how it's that typical with the garage, and so the cars cross in front of the front entrance to the house. So anyway, I'm sure you're very familiar with this pattern.
one of the reasons that pattern occurs is that if you turn your garage 90 degrees, you get an additional 5 feet. So they were happy to make use of that. The proposed development, I think just to repeat, is 2,466 square feet. It's 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and 412-foot attached garage. And the lot is 80 by 110, so 880. Our FAR is 85. We really had a lot of iterations to get to 85, but I know that in terms of the impact of the development, having it at that number really does help it fit into the overall setting, because these are all modest homes, and it also makes the two-story comfortable rather than having it stick out. And the existing house is also on the setback on the west and the south. So that's one of the things we'll see here. And I guess we can go to the plan.
Do we have that? I don't think we
Well,
have
you can.
This shows it moved.
It is actually.
But this shows it moved.
It's underneath. It's lightly dashed there.
yeah,
If you
okay,
really
try to make it-
strain.
So it is on the setback on the
West and south.
West and south. And go ahead.
Yeah. Why don't we keep going to the plan just to walk around?
Okay, there, sorry. I wish I was better at this. So you can see in this grade version there where it is closer to the, and it feels very tight when you're there. So that's why we wanted to move it over a little bit, because we had room on the right-hand side, and we're trying to also get it away from the neighbor here on the west side. Okay. Go ahead.
And to add to that, actually, rather than having one side be simply utilitarian, we wanted the landscaped feeling rather than an alleyway feeling on that side. So we had a overhanging tub that we did not want to have an encroachment. So that was another factor in keeping the development a little bit further away from the property line than you might imagine necessary. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So
quickly
you
on
want
the,
to
quickly on,
go
yeah.
back to the floor plan?
Yes. So, yeah, quickly on the floor plan. This is the proposed, and you can see we've moved the garage over to here. So this piece and this piece are the two-story elements, and then this is one story. So this is shorter, less tall than these two pieces, with the major living spaces here, stair, family, guest room, garage, and then miscellaneous laundry, et cetera. And then going down to the second floor, up to the second floor, down on the screen, then you see here's the two children's room back here with a Jack and Jill, and then the primary bedroom here with the bathroom and the tub that Tom talked about, and with a deck here. And this deck is, let's see, so.
8 by 16. Yes.
Yeah, I think things we wanted to highlight about the design is that we're really looking in transparency for light and air and also views to these new gardens. So that's a big important part of this. And then the also that the footprint of this new house is very similar to the old. But we shifted it over for the reasons we talked about a few minutes ago. The west setback is 10 feet. The east setback is 16 feet, and the front setback is 21. And this deck is 13
from the property line.
13, let me see. Yeah, it's 8'6" by 16, and it's 13 feet from the fence, the property line, and fence on the property line. And the house adjacent to the west, the area in that corner is a utility area. So it's and it's 10 feet. No, wait a minute, I think it's 17. Yeah, 17 feet. So that house jogs in, and it's 17 feet from the fence line. So we're trying to get them as far apart as possible, and also knowing that that's where they have their trash cans, and it's a utility area. So, because we know these decks are always an issue. Yeah, so the house, I think that's enough on that. Then to the elevations. I'll go to the south. Here's the front elevation, and there you can see that deck. So from this point right here over to the fence line is that 10 feet we were just talking about. So here you can see how it looks. It's a farmhouse style, board and bat. We're thinking white with a dark green, not black. We thought we'd veer off the black a little bit. Yeah, so we have a dark green there. We're using the Anderson windows, and we are probably a slate gray roof, something like that. So you can see the style of it. It was trying to be in keeping with other, the general style of the neighborhood. So that's the front. So you can see this is that lower roof, and this lower roof is, where's the height? Okay, the lower roof is 12 foot 10, right here. And then these taller ones are the same, and they are 21.8.
Just so you know, you have about 2 minutes.
Okay, I think we're about done. So, yeah, here's this is the north elevation up to the north. And here is the east, where the fireplace is, and then the west. Yeah. The other thing we did, Katie and Dan reached out to the neighbors. We did get the letter this morning from the neighbor above and reached out to them immediately to talk, and they were very helpful, and we had a really good discussion. So we alleviated their issues with the night sky. You know, that's obviously something that we all do. So we really appreciated that comment, and I feel confident that we will be able to work it out. So this little sketch, we have our landscape architect is about ready to jump on board, but just generally so you can kind of understand where we're going with it, this retaining wall back here, we want to move back a little bit to increase this patio area, and then maybe some sort of, dwarf fruit trees or something on that hillside, but it's all overgrown with ivy and that kind of stuff.
Another thing is that that existing wall is only like 1.5 feet tall, so we've got plenty of room to push back to get
maybe a 4 foot.
Modest height. So there's some space there.
Lastly, there was a gigantic tree here, a ficus tree, huge, and in the storms, it fell down, and it damaged their roof, our client's roof, and it fell onto the neighbor's car. So that tree is no longer an issue. We're concerned about it and wanting to see if it should be removed, but it took care of that itself. So along here, we're thinking of maybe a dry creek bed or something along those lines to deal with the, and then maybe some, raised beds, But just a very rural feeling, simple farmhouse style. And I think that's it, and we look forward, thank you so much, and we appreciate whatever input and questions that you have.
Perfect, thank you guys.
Thank you.
We will open the floor up to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for in-person public comment. However, if anyone wishes to do so, you may fill one out and bring it to me. Oh, the slips are over against the wall, yeah.
And if you want to start, you can fill out the form afterwards. Yeah, thanks. But if you can make sure to state your name and what address you're at. Thanks.
So my name's Ann Marks. The address is 184 Vista Del Mar. I'm directly above the 112 Vista Del Mar. So I emailed you this morning, and you read my comments. We met with the owners, and talked on the phone with the architects. Sounds like we've gotten our issues resolved, and we can work on, the lighting was obviously part of single-family design. The other big concern was the privacy of the windows and looking at the grades of the elevation difference between their lot and ours. It looks like the windows are not going to be within our sight lines, and privacy for both of us. And we'll continue to talk with the neighbors and the architects to come up with what works for us and works for their house also. So we are good with the project.
Thank you.
And I know it'll be some changes as we move forward. So thank you.
Thanks.
Perfect. I will move on then to virtual comment. I do not see any hands raised at this time for virtual comment, so we will move on to written correspondence. And we did receive a letter from Ann Marks and Michael Mendelson. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Perfect. We'll start with Board Member Sherry for questions.
Do you have a site section, north-south? I missed it somehow in the...
next. You went fast.
Oh, you go up one.
North-south.
Yeah.
With the,
There you go. So that gives you the overall lot length is 110, and then the setbacks, but these are, there's the 20-foot setback in the front, and then the other's a rear yard actual rather than,
thanks. No more questions.
Okay, perfect.
No questions. You answered all of mine, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Any questions, Anderson?
Anderson, yeah.
Sorry. Board member?
20 closest homes, again, we're at the 85%. Sounds like you made reductions. I don't feel like potentially it's an issue, but it certainly helps us to justify the FAR if we have the 10 closest homes. And I know you've shown some 2 stories in the area, but typically what I saw was just like one part or a 2-story over the garage. It wasn't a full or a 2/3, 3/4, 2-story. So just, did you do any of those FAR additional studies in the guidelines for your 85%?
I think that the 85% was the limit, which set the necessity of doing it. So we were just under the limit.
Yeah, and just for clarification, the applicant is correct in this case. If it's over 85%, that's when it kicks in those requirements. Thanks.
And we really felt, it was really a good exercise, because we were trying to get it down, and we
Right.
didn't want it to be too big. We wanted to bring it down, so when we went through that exercise and shrunk it, hit the shrink button, it really made it better. So
Okay, good.
we're happy with that.
Yeah.
And then just to point out, there aren't very many full 2-story, like there's this one,
Right.
and then there's another one. There's another one. Here's one here. But most of them are where they just popped up,
Right,
a
a portion,
certain-
yeah.
So,
I'm going to interrupt.
Go
What's actually quite similar between our proposal and the ones that we're talking about is that we do have an area that's single-story, and then the rest of the house is popped up. So we followed that format, which
pattern.
it's can be graceful or not, but there are quite a few houses with that model.
And to add to that, and thank you for that question, is we purposefully, which I think we all are sensitive to this, we made this side be the lower one because of the neighbors up behind, and the view is that way. So we wanted this side to be low, and then this side was okay to be higher for that specific purpose.
Okay, right, and you set it back on that west side an additional amount, so yeah, got that. Okay, then the garage and the whole, pattern of development with the L shape. I'm sure you looked at other garage doors facing the street, which is not necessarily ideal. I know it's more functional. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that, as well as the roof coming up partially to hide the deck rail, and did you take it all the way up or try one versus the other?
The main idea behind the garage was that in the shall we say, traditional configuration, there wasn't any front yard left over. In other words, what we discovered looking at it was that you could have one or the other. And the L-turn eliminated the front yard as a place to soften the entry, as a transition from the sidewalk to the house. And the garage entry, and the neighborhood is a basic neighborhood, so it's not like it's out of character at all. And it allowed us to do the other work. you can see just visually, looking at the plan, what would happen if you had a 15-foot setback. So,
Also, and I should say, Board Member Anderson, through the chair, to be proper, here's the house, right?
Yeah.
So I personally don't think that this pattern that was, done back then was very successful, because what it created is like no windows to the street. This is a garage. And then you're coming in, and then the car, of course, was the most important thing. So you come in and cross over where you're trying to have this formal entrance. So, and then there's no, like I say, no gesture to the street. So we were happy to change that. And like Tom says, I think that this is, pretty classic looking, at least we feel. Let me go back down to that. And, you get this nice transparency. The windows go all the way through. So our idea was we want to be able to come through and actually be able to see through all the way to the back in both of these situations. So it's very light and transparent and very open to the public and to the street. The other thing on the deck, we did, look at the deck being the full thing, and we thought, no, it's too much,
Right.
So that's why we shrunk it down like that, because we just wanted to have a little place you could come out and sit and look without being this gigantic big deck. So that's why we did it like that. And it could probably shrink down a little bit more if needed, but we felt like it, so we're not, married to that. It could be smaller. It just needs to be a nice little place you could get out. And again, this point right here is 10 feet to the next door. And then you can see the neighbors going up.
Is it 10 or 13?
I think it was 13.
Did I say 13? Oh, it's 10 plus the 3, yeah. Because the roof part, this part is 3. This is 10, and then this is the 3, yeah. Thank you.
And that second floor is set back
Right.
beyond the garage. Yeah, so it steps back with the deck and the second floor popping up on the front.
Exactly.
that was one of our main concerns, was not to have any long, straight facades. And so every time we broke it up, it made it smaller. So that was anything, the tub overhung, there's a tub in the back that did the same thing. So the house had, with its FAR, we had nothing left to spare. So it was just, we're both working together to create interest, but not expand.
Yeah, here you can see that, this is where that
thank
tub
you,
thing
yeah.
is right here. This is the laundry room below. This is mechanical. And then this is a little Dutch door going into that garage. And then there's that deck.
Thank you.
Any other
Thank
questions?
you.
No?
Thank
Okay.
you.
On the front elevation, I have two questions. One, the rendering showed garage doors with windows in them, and your elevation shows solid. Which one are you guys leaning
We're
towards?
doing this one.
The solid, okay.
We did look at a variety of different ones, but this is where we landed.
Okay. And then that site wall there, I know you guys haven't fully developed your landscaping, but what are you guys thinking
Do you
for
mean
that?
here?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think that we were looking at a concrete with a boarding.
Formed
Yeah.
concrete. That's what I'd like to see, is just a formed concrete.
Yeah.
But it'd be good to hear from the landscape architect, see what they think. But it seemed like, something very, not overly fussy.
Okay.
And then, of course, there'll be planting. This then drops down to the sidewalk, so there'll
Plantings
be
in front.
some, landscaping there, so you probably won't see much of it. And then this right here, sorry about the little drafting glitch here. The steps.
Well, imagine a lineup, you're good.
Yeah, they go
Yeah,
up
there you
straight.
go.
Yeah. But right now, it looks like, so the site wall is also sort of the railing there as
It's like a
well.
seat
Is
wall.
that-
We don't
okay.
have 30 inches.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
less than 30 inches,
Okay.
so we can do what we want.
Nice.
So it's
Okay.
here, yeah.
Right, so
Okay.
it's more of a punctuation rather than a
A little place you can come out.
protection.
Okay.
a seat wall around. And then this
Yeah.
is supposed to be steps going down to this back area back here.
Perfect, okay.
So lots to work out with the landscape, but you get the general idea.
All right, I think those are all my questions. If we want to start with comments over here.
Yeah, I think I appreciate you sticking with the 85%, so you don't have to do the 20 closest homes. And that's always a drag. And then, and I think the only thing that kind of hit me right away with the garage plate height, if you go back to that, it seems like the garage door relative to the height of the garage from the front and also viewed from the west.
Right here?
Yeah, there. Now go to the west elevation.
Okay.
You can really see that issue.
Here?
That door just seems so low, and then the window is so high, and it seems just a little bit.
Right here?
I mean, the proportions of the house are so nice, and I wish the garage plate were lower. That's my comment. And then, if there was an eyebrow above there or something like that, it might make the difference up. But because you have that massing above there, it just kind of exacerbates that plate height a little bit.
What it was,
Wait, you're not supposed to
Or if you don't, yes.
excuse me.
You were talking about how the house kind of, you wanted it to be articulated and these differing undulations between the upper and the lower level, but then on the back side and on the west side, I feel like it's a kind of more of a two-story stacked, which is fine. You've got that kind of belly band running through there, and you can't really see it from anywhere. You probably did that so that you could have stacked walls, and so I appreciate the belly band going through there, especially because it's the board and bath material. And the front's fine, and the two-story is not the entire thing, so it's just. Sorry.
No.
And then, and I imagine you're going to have something to get the water from dripping down onto that fascia because you don't have an overhang. That's TBD, probably. You have a fascia kind of coming down and then no overhang at all. So we'll look forward to seeing how you're going to deal with that. Those are my comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, no new comments. I think it is a great project. Has the potential to definitely will improve the neighborhood, enhance the neighborhood, and I appreciate the neighbor engagement. I think it's great. We read all of the public comments, and it's helpful for us, and it's great that you've been so proactive in trying to alleviate concerns there. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Board Member Anderson.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I would say it's positive comments. Looking forward to landscaping for me. And, due to the further discussion around, highlighting the two stories in the area and the justification around the garage, I'm comfortable with the FAR. Yes, and I know we're going to enhance the neighborhood. Compatible size, yes. Colors and materials, we'll see more, but I appreciate the fact that you're looking at other options besides the stark white and black, because we would like to see natural appearance on the hillside and the modern farmhouse, though you're saying the garage door is a little more vintage, so you're going to explore all those things. We're just here for concept, but yeah, and it seems like you've now worked things out with the above neighbor to the south. I'm sure you've probably had conversations with both other neighbors, but yeah, and addressing their concerns is always something we want to hear. So yeah, I'm in support of the project.
Yeah, I agree. I think the massing helps eliminate the overall size and bulk, and stepping back is very much appreciated. And I agree also with your comments on rotating the garage. I think it does help create a more approachable entrance with that landscaping rather than a full site of asphalt for your driveway. I agree with Board Member Sherry's comment about reducing either the appearance or articulation or actually the full height of that garage in the front. And would like to see some articulation there on the garage doors. I did like the touch of the windows, but understand wanting to go solid. And I agree with the introducing of the green. I would encourage in looking at the materials to look through the neighborhood, and there seems to be a more, creamy kind of whites and beige, and so leaning a little bit more there instead of the super bright white, I think would work well, but it will be good to study that and show us how that works in the neighborhood. I also want to thank you for considering views and where you have your 1-story versus 2-story. I think that worked really well, and I'm not concerned with the size of the balcony, given what's adjacent at the neighboring property and their kind of utility area, and that most of this is facing the street side. Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I could make one.
Okay.
This would be an indefinite continuance. Does it need to go back to the full board?
Well, we would, yeah. I mean, not, oh, sorry. I don't.
I'm trying to.
I'll leave that. Yeah, I can leave that up to the board.
Just trying to move things along.
I think we could have a little straw poll. I think this could go to consent. There wasn't anything sort of
The
controversial.
mass bulk and scale, the size,
Yeah.
the privacy of the deck, the location of the deck.
We're mostly looking at details and landscaping.
Yeah, I think just be clear where we're saying study versus.
Correct.
we're
Okay,
doing a
okay.
directive, yeah.
Okay, so,
Might be open. What about you?
Might be open, but I mean, my tendency would just say come back to full board for PDA, because that puts it on one person at consent to do the PDA.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm open to either.
all right, well, I'm going to make the motion good anyway. Nice. So, okay, so this would be an indefinite continuance back to the full board. That the board appreciates that the board appreciates that the mass, bulk, scale, and size, including the architectural style, are appropriate to the site. And the board is that the upper level deck, the south-facing deck off of the master suite is acceptable as designed because of its inherent kind of built-in privacy, with its being stepped back from the west elevation and lower than the adjacent westerly neighbor. And I would say study or otherwise provide justification for the height of the garage header to alleviate what appears to be an excessive amount of siding above the header, between the header and the eave. And the board looks forward to seeing a landscape plan that also addresses the entryway and the hardscape to the front door. And that's my motion.
I'll second.
Should we add something about the colors in regards to the creamy beige
I
comment?
know I was debating it, or we'll just look at their color palette when they come back.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say the board looks forward to a color material board in the next review, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. All right, second for that. We can do a roll call.
Yes, roll call. Chair Lewis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
Board Member Sherry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And happy birthday.
Yeah, what a good girl.
Sorry, she was a little chatty.
No, she was great. She was great. Yeah, okay. I think we'll take a quick 5-minute break.
2 years old.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll take a quick 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
We will be back at 4:50. 4:50. Okay, thank you.
the single-family design board meeting for February 12th. Our last agenda item is a one-time pre-application consultation for 1413 Alameda Padre Serra. The exterior and interior remodel of the existing non-conforming 1,780 square foot single-story, single-unit residence. New doors, windows, and balconies. The existing carport will be repaired as necessary. Proposal to convert a part of the existing basement to a 553 square foot family room. The proposed total of 2,903 square feet of development on a 28,750 square foot lot is 61% of maximum guideline floor to lot area ratio. So no appealable action will take place today. And I wondered, staff, if you can explain to us sort of the difference in what you're looking for one-time pre-app versus consent.
Great question. So it is, in relation to a one-time conceptual review, it is essentially the same kind of review. There isn't really any big difference between the two. The difference between, in city terms, pre-application, they haven't submitted formally for a planning case, so they may very well only do this and never submit to planning. So they haven't formally submitted. That said, any of your comments are going to be helpful when they do submit for a planning application. And just like we saw with that item on consent where the pre-app comments were continued for the actual conceptual review, that's kind of the role these projects, these kind of one-time pre-application consultation sessions play in one's project application. So does that answer all questions? Are there any other specifics?
Are neighbors noticed with pre-app?
With this application,
Do you know?
I
don't think so.
I don't believe this project was noticed, not because it's a pre-application consultation, but because it didn't meet any of our noticing triggering requirements, as far as I know. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So if you guys can make sure your microphones are on and state both your names, and you'll have 15 minutes.
Sure. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Heidi Jones. I'm the agent for the owner. We really wanted to come today for this pre-application to get early feedback, mostly on the windows, so that we can proceed with confidence with some structural engineering that's going to happen. Overall, we are concurrently working on landscape and some civil engineering work, but we wanted to come and get this feedback. So we look forward to your comments. This is Lisa. She'll run through the plans, and we're here for questions.
I'm Lisa Kennenmeyer. I'm the architect of record, and
Pardon my interruption. Would you mind turning on your microphone there? You press that where it says push. There we go. Thank you. That is
Okay. Should I say it again? Okay. My name is Lisa Kennenmeyer. I'm the architect, and again, as Heidi stated, it's to me relatively simple what we're asking you today. So the building was built in the 50s, 52. It really hasn't been remodeled, and we're doing new windows and new openings, and some of the openings are moving. The carport we're rebuilding in place. None of the roof lines are changing, none of the massing is changing, but because it is a 70-year-old building and the structure is 70 years old, there will be some changes to the engineering. And we want to be able to have the engineer proceed with confidence in the location of the openings, the number of the openings, and basically re-engineering the carport. So it will, for all intents and purposes, unless we need some bracing, look the same. But we just want to make sure that, what we're proposing with the openings is acceptable. So,
Any questions? There you go.
okay.
Oh, no, it's back. Okay. All right.
All right, so I am used to a Macintosh, so how do I scroll through these drawings?
So you can either scroll with the mouse, or on the far right side, there's, sorry, I'm pointing on this screen. You can just toggle the whole thing down, or you could just use the scroller.
Okay.
Okay, there you
All
go.
right. So, Yeah, and again, we're in the process of starting the civil and landscape, but you can see that it is currently non-conforming in regard to the setbacks. We're not making it any more non-conforming. You have no idea. It's like, oh, this is currently not, well, you're making it more okay. So basically, right now, it's a one-story home, crawl space. We are adding an interior stair, which you don't care about, but we are taking over the front part of that basement. And again, I don't know if that is important to you. There will be quite a bit of engineering in order to make that work. We are moving some walls, which, again, I don't believe you care about. We are adding 2 little Juliet balconies on the south side, and they're right off these 2 bedroom suites. So they will be very minor, basically just so that you can have a French door there because the view is so stunning. We don't picture anyone ever going out and sitting on these balconies. But it's just to be able to have the floor-to-ceiling glass. We're also redoing, and you'll see in the elevations, we're redoing the sliders along the front, adding some access to outdoor spaces along the side. The entry, we're going to be working with the landscape architect. It's rather, it's a little on the mean side. You just, because it's below the street, you come up and you just keep dropping down these steps, and we're going to try and have the entry with landscaping become a little bit more friendly. So this is the current north elevation, the street elevation. Actually, I'll go back to the site plan just a minute. So everything's below the street. The curb cut is right here. All that will stay the same. The paving will be replaced, but not enlarged at all. And so you come down this lovely cascading driveway, which you can imagine in the rain. And then the steps are right here. Will again probably, and I don't know what she's planning yet, but hopefully we'll make this a little more meandering on the way down. You can see from the number of contour lines that the ridge of both the carport and the home are below the street level. So this is the current north elevation, street elevation, and we're eliminating a kitchen door and making the windows just a little bit more consistent. This photo really, I think, gives you a good idea of how innocuous in a lot of ways this house is. It's a very yeoman-like house. It's very pretty. It was a custom home, but it just kind of knows its place. The east elevation, we're opening up a little bit more to get some connection to the outdoor space, which is over here. And the landscape architect will be working on that as well. The south elevation has this amazing, amazing view. Currently, the basement is just the washer dryer. It's only accessed from the exterior. We're adding an interior stair and just opening everything up. It's still 1950s jalousie, single pane jalousies right here. And we're just going to be doing sliding doors with the little Juliet balconies, and then a nice sliding door to connect the basement family room to the porch or to the yard. This is the current south elevation. The west, almost exactly the same. You can see how small the protrusion of the balcony is. This is the little carport, post and beam. There's a storage area right here. we'll be leaving, again, the massing stays the same, the roof stays the same, materials stay the same. Just checking to see what we need to do structurally, and there, I can see that there might end up being, on the west, there might be some bracing or some panels needed in there. That is probably all that.
Yeah, I would just add, we were proposing solar panels on the roof.
Yes, yes, sorry, we are. But it's a south-facing roof, so they'll be just in the plane of the roof.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, if you wouldn't mind going to the end of your site photos that you have at the bottom.
Okay.
I think they start on page 19 and walking us through those.
Right, okay, so this is the driveway. You can see it's cracked and kind of a mess. So that'll be, redone very similarly. Here's the carport. This is the solid storage portion. It has a door right here, a little roll-up door. Potentially that will stay the same. The entry is right here. There's steps down right there. And again, very plain. The materials, we're leaving this roof in place. It's not very old. It's a concrete tile. Windows will be replaced with a double pane clad aluminum Marvin window. Stucco is going to stay the same. It's a really lovely, high-quality sand finish. We'll probably go a little bit less pink and a little more cream, but we're still going to stay very much within this vocabulary in color. We will probably go to a dark fascia. Yeah, this is a better drawing. We are getting rid of this door. It's very kind of confusing right now. This is the front entry. This is the door into the kitchen. You can kind of guess that the front entry or the kitchen door was the only one that was ever used, but we're eliminating that. And this is along that facade there. Here's this photo is really nice in showing the difference in elevation as you drop down the site. So the garage ridge is higher than the house ridge, but it will all stay the same. And then you can see that the view is pretty spectacular. So this is the east side, and the patio. There's a beautiful pepper tree. And there'll be some development in this area, not an increase in paving, but probably some enhancement of the barbecue and kitchen area. And we are adding a sliding glass door here out of the kitchen. And that's the view. It's pretty lovely. Much greener today than it was when this was taken.
Perfect, thank you. If we want to open up to comments.
Yes, thank you, Chair Lewis.
Sorry, public
that's a better
comments.
Yeah. I will start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips. However, if anyone wishes to make a public comment, you can fill one out and bring it to me. I do not see in the audience anyone in the audience doing so, so we will move to virtual comment. And I do have a hand raised from Catherine Buck, so we will allow Catherine to comment. And Catherine, you will have 2 minutes to speak.
Hey there. My husband, Kevin Prelager, and I are the owners of 1405 APS, which is right to the east. And I just would say that we are very supportive generally of this project. And especially that the balconies don't bother us at all. We do have an easement as part of their driveway access, and I would just ask that they consult with us and our architect as we are undergoing a renovation process as well, so that we work together on that repaving, or at least in conjunction with each other. That would be all.
Thank you. Okay. Any other virtual comments?
No, that was it for virtual comment, so we will move on to correspondence. And we did not receive any written correspondence for this item, so at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Perfect. We'll start with questions over on this side. No questions? No questions?
Did you consider an ADU instead of the family room down below, or that's not applicable? I mean, it looks like an ADU down in the basement. Just throwing it out there, just questioning.
Accessory dwelling unit.
Right,
Isn't it proposed to be family room conversion? No, I don't think so.
no. I'm sorry, my brain is going, is that something you guys want to see, our ADUs, or?
No.
No, okay,
The answer's no.
okay, got it. No, it's going to be a larger family home than, two families maybe spending time there. And we just want to make sure there's space for the kids.
Okay, right. And the setback, yeah, you made a comment about leaving it as is, so non-conforming, but we're always looking for enhancements of the neighborhood, so I guess I'll drop that comment. I'm questioning, I'm sure you field verified the information on your documents. You have this information as diagrammatic, so that brings me to question the drawings, period, and whether they were field verified in regards to accuracy on your elevations and drawings.
Yes. We had Waters Cardenas do our topo survey and do some updates and verified all of it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Is that all your questions? Okay. Just a minor question. In the photos, it looks like your east elevation, there are existing clear story windows. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
I
Okay, so,
just
okay,
caught that.
perfect.
Those weren't on, so we used we actually had, because the house has been in the family this whole time, we had the original architectural drawings.
Oh, wonderful.
Those
Okay.
were used for the basis, and obviously those got put in during construction. And were not picked up, so.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Okay. Those are all my questions. I want to move to comments.
I just have one comment, and that is that in the future, this is the kind of project that can go on consent. Just in my opinion. I
Yeah.
don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but I have not a problem with anything you're proposing.
Excellent. And and I was actually conferring with staff here, is that if there are, maybe not specifically for this project because it's just here for a pre-application consultation, but I did want to let the board know is that there is opportunity for projects to be actually forwarded just to staff. So it doesn't even have to go to concept all the time. I think that's a good thing to keep in your back pocket. It's an option. That said, staff is very limited and we can only go off of what you recommend. So if you kind of, the motion making would have to be very, very specific and consciously made. But I digress. If you want this project to only be a conceptual overview, you can put that in your comments.
Not only conceptual, I didn't mean.
Oh, excuse
only
me.
conceptual, I meant it should be, this could have been administrative review as well.
Yeah. Oh, well, and
Or
yeah,
consent.
correct. Yeah. So if you want to put this at consent, you're more than welcome to put that in your comments.
But we can't just go to staff from here.
You could also put in your comments that staff can look for administrative approval.
Okay.
It's a little difficult for
Okay.
me to say the exact path at this
Okay.
point, just because this is a pre-application and
That's
not
okay.
necessarily a planning application yet.
Okay.
So, yeah, feel free to include those notes in your comments if you would like.
Yeah, I think so. Did you have any other comments?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm supportive of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, they're generally in the same location. They're just a little bit taller. I think the doors make sense. I think the clear story, it's already screened from neighbors, so even though it's added windows, it's not really a privacy concern, and it fits in with what's already there. Any other comments?
I mean, yeah, if you're going to go to the effort, I would just, say enhance the home with replacing all the windows.
Is there anything that we'd want to say to help whoever's on consent as far as materiality of these. Oh, I also didn't mention, I'm a fan of the Juliet balconies. I think those are really great too.
I did notice that your new door on the lower level appears to be about a foot away. The header appears to be about a foot difference between, if you want to pull up that,
Juliet,
this might help.
Page 9.
Might help staff, but it appeared that the header looked a little tall compared to the floor level of the upper level floor level. It might just be.
It's very, very thin framing.
Oh, wow.
It's like 2 by 6s.
Yeah, good. Just kind of the south, I guess it's the south
Yeah, south
elevation.
elevation on page 9. They're
Right
there in the
and
center.
It looks like you've got your header is basically in. the
It's a
header
rim
is-
joist.
There's no header there, like doesn't look
Well,
like
or
there's
it's
room for a header.
Or it's probably the rim joist. The rim joist and the header are probably the same.
Yeah, and a rim joist can't be a header, so I guess you could just take the rim joist out and have the joist go into the header, and it'll be a flush frame situation. That's
Yeah.
the one thing I noticed,
Yeah.
so
I think it probably is a flush frame situation.
that was it.
This is also why I want to get the engineer down here and
Yeah.
started on the whole thing. Yeah.
So.
Did you have any comments? No? Does anyone want to make a motion? All right. I move to continue this project. Oh, I guess, is it a continue with pre-app? Or do we just provide comments?
Yeah, you would just provide comments.
Okay.
And then, yeah, correct. And then in the motion, you can say recommendation that, yeah.
So the board generally agrees that the project can go to the consent calendar or staff hearing officer for approval.
I believe,
that.
oh, go ahead and go through your motion
Okay.
and we can make the corrections after. Yeah, I don't want to pause you right in the middle.
Okay. Yeah, or staff for approval if appropriate. The windows are generally, I don't know, the board is generally in support of the exterior windows shown in elevation and the Juliet balconies. The end. That there's no privacy concern given the distance and grade and existing plantings by the increase in square footage of windows and glazing. The material palette is stated to closely match existing, which the board is in agreement and support of. The end.
Second.
Okay, we will take roll. Chair Lewis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Board Member Graffitti?
Yes.
Board Member Sherry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And that adjourns our single-family design board meeting on February 12th.